Well, I went to school when I was 5, and the teachers then, I don't remember the teachers to begin with, but Miss Turner used to look after what we call primaries now, because we only had 2 classrooms, and Mr. Brame was our head teacher. Well, my school friends would be Ada Thomas, Frances Brown, and Kate Beelby. Well, we used to have arithmetic and composition, writing stories. I wasn't very good at arithmetic, but and that was all really. We had games, and we used to play rounders. And now and again we did have a hockey team which played in the barn field, but I can't remember much about that. Well, we used to have singing lessons.
Yeah. Okay.
We used to go to school on our bicycles, and coming home one day, coming down the hill near the shop at Thorganby, I fell off and broke my arm. I was just 7. And Uncle Willie, who we lived with us then, he took me to Bubwith to the doctors, and the doctors put my left arm in splints.
And that was the treatment.
So then I was off school for 6 weeks. We used to go once a year for a tea party at Thicket Priory, where Colonel Dunnington Jefferson used to live. And then Mr. Moscroft, who used to live at the hall, which is opposite the church, when he was alive, he gave all the children who was at the school when he died was allotted just a small amount of money, which we didn't have to take until we were 21. And I had some, and of course, when I got married, I hadn't drawn it, so that was achieved. I can't quite remember how much, but it was very good for me, because when Christine was born, it brought a new pram. There wasn't very many motor cars about when I was small, but we used to play in the road with skips and whips and tops and skipping ropes. And then we used to chalk places and play hopscotch on the road. We used to make achievement once a year when it was the show. We always used to have different things like sack races, and they used to have tug of war, things like that. I remember the ferry boat in and the ferry going over to, I think it was Elverton, I'm not sure. And I went over on the ferry once and back, but only once. I didn't go over any other time. Terry and Arthur Dale came to Thorganby after I left, but I knew them by going to the Methodist church, because I'm sure Terry played the organ. And I used to play it, just a little, not very often, because I wasn't there after I left school. I didn't get to the church much. I always remember that Mr. Brown had the threshing machine, and it used to go to the different villages to thresh the corn. And they had a fairly big family. I think there was about 8 of them. Frances, Elizabeth, Gordon. I can't remember everybody's name, but they lived near the school in the village. Olive Brown, which was one of Mr. Brown's daughters, all I know is she went to take over the ferry boat inn, and I don't know whether she still has it now. And I went to school with her. Yeah. Mr. Howden, Chris has just shown me a photograph of him with his beard. He used to come and preach at the Methodist church because he was what we call local preacher. So I remember him. There's a good one of him too. Very good. I remember Mr. and Mrs. Darley, who had the Jefferson Arms, and then Mr. Gosley. Well, I grew up with Mr. Gosley, often popped round to their house when I was little, and he used to do all, if anyone had passed away, he measured them up, and then he made coffins. I used to know Mr. and Mrs. Simpson, and I think they had 2 boys. They used to do the blacksmiths and put the things in the furnace, and then the bellows used to go and make the flames come up, so that we used to watch him. Used to let us watch him do the make the things for shoeing the horses, really. Yeah, the Moats and the Patricks were farmers, and used to cut the corn and the hay, and Mr. Brown used to go and do the threshing for them. At the back of the White House and down a little way, we used to call the Ings, and it was because the river was at the bottom and it used to overflow, and then if we had very bad winters, which the ice used to form, Uncle Willie used to skate on the ice, and he'd put some rope on a little board, and I used to sit on it and he used to pull me along.